Good afternoon. I'm Tony Artigler, President of the Residents Council. Welcome to our second quarterly report for 2025. To start off, please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you'd just take a minute to turn off your cell phones or silence them, and we'll get on with the program. What we'd like to do today is introduce new residents, those who've moved in since the last quarterly report. Then I'll give an overview of our council, and we'll end with reports from each of our committees. The new residents are Wayne and Celeste Brazovich, Eunice Falzel, James and Patricia Kabler, Carl and Francie Albertson, Martha Swaggerty, Edwin and Karen Leach, Ronald and Diane Woodworth, Terry and Carol Medlin, Carol Captain, Douglas and Jacqueline Donnelly, Emil Sami, Galunya Lazarenko, John Turner, Alfred Durska, Carmelo and Janet Puma, Daniel and Sophie Bailey, Martha Hewitt, and Tom and Marcy Wamick. Welcome to John Knox Village. The Residents' Council has 11 members, elected by you during the September quarterly meeting last year. We have the Executive Committee plus 8 council members that each serve as chair of a committee. Executive Committee members include me, Mike Marks is our Vice President, and Patty Mitchell is our Secretary. Our mission is to prioritize council issues and, as necessary, act on behalf of the full council. The primary purpose of the Residents' Council is to serve as a communications channel between residents and management to promote the quality of life at John Knox Village. We help management stay informed of residents' viewpoints by discussing ideas, suggestions, and concerns. Through monthly meetings with Mr. Trainer and his department heads, we provide recommendations on matters that affect community life, from dining service to facility upkeep to policies, programs, and activities. We help plan events, organize social gatherings, and support volunteer efforts. That being said, let's see what the council has been working on for the past 3 months, starting with Deborah Sheffield, Chair of the Activities Committee. Deborah?
I have the privilege to chair the Activities Committee. Our council rep is Gary Kohler, and our staff liaison is Candace and her incredible resident services staff, including Gail, Brittany, and Doug. 9 residents make up the remainder of our committee: Martha, Joe, Daryl, Bill, Pat, Carol, Judy, Rick, and Lucy. I encourage you to meet them and share your ideas and comments about our activities. Please know that your feedback is important to the success of this committee. We are an active and vibrant community. Some activities are organized by the Activities Committee, some by Candace and her staff, and many by resident volunteers. You all contribute to this interactive environment. I would like to thank all of the residents who volunteer their time and talents to lead activities with fellow residents. Without your leadership, we would not have such a vast variety every week. I have a couple of quick announcements, many of which you may already be aware. Karaoke is back. Next event is this Friday. Future events may be planned on a Friday depending on attendance. We're all very happy that Phyllis has now returned to the lounge. A smartphone presentation took place recently, and we are looking into instructors for computer workshops. The studio is in full swing now and offering classes to Oakview Suite residents and several other support groups. The activities survey was released last week. A resident art exhibit, Wine and Cheese Reception, is scheduled for next Tuesday. A special resident-led production celebrating July 4th will be presented on July 3rd. Please sign up for the next pool tournament to be conducted in July. The championship match will be held on August 8th. Sign-ups for all studio classes and Talena's exercise classes will now be done on Cubico. As many of you may know, John Knox Village residents are a business partner with Volusia County Schools. We have continually supplied their food pantry each year, and several residents have generously donated to the school with the Village Friends neighbors. This year we were voted Volusia Partner of the Year. I could not be more proud to live here in such a caring community. Our next food drive will be set for this fall. Lastly, I would like to talk about volunteering. Benefits of volunteering provide a sense of purpose, but it's also known to improve social, emotional, and physical well-being. You are making a positive difference in people's lives while improving your self-esteem, confidence, and building social connections. On average, 59% of our residents volunteer on campus and 27% volunteer off campus. Please remember to log your hours into the volunteer notebook located at the Resident Services desk or on Cubico under the Activities cube. Currently, more than 100 volunteer opportunities are available on campus. The volunteer list of opportunities may be found on Cubico under the Information cube, and also the list is provided in the volunteer notebook. As I've already mentioned, many activities on campus are led by residents. In addition, many residents volunteer off campus and with our assisted living residents at Oakview Suites. Majestic Oaks is also looking for volunteers, whether that be in memory care, long-term care, or with rehab patients. One more opportunity will be announced in the fall. Orange City Elementary School needs adults to read to students, help with math skills, assist teachers with assessments, or even help with school and PTA events. If you'd like to learn more about this, please contact me. Now I would like to introduce Gary Kohler, Chair of the Communications Committee. Thank you.
The Communication Committee has a lot of subcommittees, many of which have been around for a lot of years and have their routines well defined and flowing smoothly. Think, for example, the library or Village Life magazine, photography, Village Friends, etc. The one area is the Portal Committee that is more dynamic in the sense that we're still feeling our way through it, still trying to improve Cubico and work with Cubico people to implement things we think are needed. So let me just tell you some of the things that have happened with the Portal Committee since our last talk in March. So the dining reservations can be canceled now up to the day before. You can edit reservations now. Residents mentioned in a dining reservation are sent notifications, so that's useful. Updates were made to improve how residents select a dining venue and made the reservation notifications and emails easier to read. A document retention process is in the works that to keep Cubico documents up to date and still relevant. So the naming convention and the process to deal with all the documents has been defined. Volunteer hours have been added to the system. That is, you could now log your volunteer hours, your on-campus and off-campus hours through Cubico instead of just the paper way that's been done before. The same person that did that, Daryl Lane, also has done the out-of-village and visitor reporting system, and those have been upgraded so that we all get a copy of what we submitted. So I know I myself had troubles remembering sometimes which visitors I had already put paperwork in for and which I hadn't. So now I get an email that dictates all that. Cubico is actually working quite a lot with us. Shannon Finley is kind of heads that interface. So they're making improvements in various things. One of them was in the activity section with improved attendee and wait list visibility. If someone cancels a reservation, it will now trigger a resident service to notify somebody that they're coming off the wait list and going into live RSVP. There's a new kiosk outside of the grill where you could do directory access and event signups and not have to have your computer or a smartphone. The Spiritual Life Library section was added to the information queue with a separate link on the main library page. Plans are underway to create cube by cube videos telling what's going on in that that cube, excuse me. And it's particularly useful because there are a lot of secret unknown things that we get a lot of comments about, but they're actually a feature that's part of Cubigo, and so it'd be nice to know about all those. One area that we're working hard with Cubigo, and they seem pretty willing to work with us, again through Shannon, is on various features, but one that we want is with search features. So right now you can't go into the directory and search for people based on a phone number, which seems, I get a phone call, I see a number, I don't know who it is. And so it'd be nice to be able to do things like that. There are a lot of other searches that we'd like to see too. There are a lot of behind-the-scene changes for the staff to make their lives a little easier. There are a few simple changes that have been made. News items used to stay up on Cubigo for 30 days. Now it's down to 7 days, which, 30 days is a little irritating. And there was an issue with the maintenance and housekeeping tickets. The assumption was made that people would only want to report, set up a ticket on maintenance and housekeeping for their own dwelling. And so if you're running around campus, and you see something's wrong, you can't put a ticket in, but now you can. And there are other improvements going on all the time. So that's a quick summary. I want to say one last thing. I want to remind you there's a wine and cheese get-together a week from Friday at 4 p.m. in the multi-purpose room to announce the third photo contest winners. So I hope you could all join us there. And with that, I'd like to introduce Joe Rudolph from Employee Appreciation.
Thank you, Gary. Oh, it doesn't work at all. This is much better. Good afternoon. I've got a short, true story, real short. Bear with me, please. Recently, I was in the billiard room with a bunch of friends shooting pool. There were 3 of us waiting our turn when one of them turned to the other and said, "Bill, I'm 83 years old now, and I'm just full of aches and pains. And I know you're about my age. How do you feel?" "Well," Bill says, "I feel just like a newborn baby. No hair, no teeth, and I think I just wet my pants." One clap. That's all I got. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me. It's a privilege to represent the Employee Appreciation Fund Committee for this past year in 2024, and I'm continuing to be excited about 2025. The dedicated Employee Appreciation Fund Committee members are Council Representative Dick Jacquin, members Bob Wetton, Susie Rudolph, Marie Boyers, Steve Stevenson, Gene Marks, Gary Boyers, and Gilbert Hollyfield. Staff liaisons, Elvira Wolford, Director of HR, and Shannon Finley, Marketing Communication and Director of everything. Specialist, I'm sorry, you're a specialist in there. We are grateful to Elvira, Shannon, and Candace, who play a large part in the success of our fund. My deepest thanks to all of them. As you may remember, the committee's goal this year is $450,000. We still feel very strongly that we'll beat last year's total with the continuing generosity of our residents, as well as our employee furniture committee, hobby/repair shop, and the recycle committee. These folks all supply their funds that they receive during the year to the Employee Appreciation Fund. I'm often asked, especially by newer residents, what's the typical contribution? My answer is that it ranges enormously from $100 for the year or to thousands of dollars during the year. I also mentioned at the last quarterly meeting, for those of you that were here, that we had received a single donation of $25,000. But what I forgot to mention to you all was that there was a note attached to that check, and it said, "It feels good to give to those who do so much for us." Enough said. As of the end of May, the contribution amount so far has reached over $100,000. Now, to promote and support the fund, the committee, with the help of Mike Marks and Gene Marks and Donna Rieger and all of our committee volunteers, we host several events during the year. The first one was the Masters Putting Tournament, which was a great success this year. We've had more involved residents than I think ever before. Next up is the always fun annual Cornhole Tournament. Last year's winners was the team of Judy Howes and Bill Williams. It starts on October 3rd. Sign up will be on Cubico for participation as well as volunteering to help out. We'll need both. As a reminder, the drop boxes for contributions and comment cards are located in the center next to the ATM, Majestic Oaks lobby, the Jackwes Clubhouse lobby, and also in front of Oakview Assisted Living where Tina currently is located. Please spread the word in case people don't know where to drop off their contributions. Again, thanks for all you do to support our employees. I truly believe that our employees are JKV's greatest asset. And before introducing our next speaker, I'd like to leave you with a quote that Mr. Les Barker used to say at the end of all of his talks up here from this very podium. Come grow old with me, the best is yet to be. Now I'd like to introduce Facilities Committee Chairman, Mr. John Bonder.
Thank you. I don't have any jokes. After following him, it's difficult to do to top it. Going to spend a couple minutes talking about the Facilities Committee. We've got a pretty wide scope of coverage, if you want to call it that. All manner of things, including all the facilities and equipment on board here, the maintenance, the grounds management, the water management, Centrix operations, housekeeping, laundry, security, transportation, the hobby shop, and a new program is going to be the woodworking shop, which is soon to be opened. We've got a couple of people, Craig Gallagher and Trevor Cornett, who are spearheading a lot of the work that's there, and they tell me it's going to be outfitted perfectly, and they're going to turn out some really fantastic work. So there's a lot that goes on in the facilities committee activity, and we stay pretty busy because we have decided, and we started the year with the decision to meet every week. And our formal meeting is on the first Tuesday of each month, but we get together every Tuesday on the other days because we've got a lot on our plate. Two of the key partners that we have in what we try to get done is a working relationship that we've been able to build with Stan DaCosta, who is the Director of Campus Services, and Mark Otto, who is Director of Facilities. Both people they're busy, very, very busy, but they've been totally open, totally communicative with us, and we have a great partnership working, and we continue to grow it every time we get together. They've got difficult jobs, but it's a pleasure to work with them. As I mentioned, we meet very regularly, And we want to make clear that we're open to having conversations with any resident that wants to speak to us. And but in particular, we will invite people, if you have a specific issue that you'd like to meet with the committee with, we're more than happy to meet with you, as long as we know in advance what the subject matter is. And at the start of our regular monthly meeting, we'd be happy to sit down and hear from you on a direct basis and have an appropriate interchange. The key role, as Tony was mentioning before, for the council is to act as a facilitator in delivering information to management and staff people where it's appropriate. And definitely that's the charter that our committee follows as well. And we're not in a position to make final decisions, and that's one of the things I think gets people cross-eyed from time to time. Well, here's a got to have a quick answer. Well, that's not our job to give the answers. We're not part of staff, we're not part of management, but we're a conduit of information. But we'll work our hardest to make sure that the information gets delivered to whomever it needs to get delivered to, and to make the best effort to ensure that you get an answer. Sometimes the answer may not satisfy you, but you can continue the dialogue. And I've said several times, and I'll say it here again, is that every once in a while, no is the answer, and as long as it's presented properly, it's legitimate for sure. But the good news is you're going to get an answer. In our activity, we've been charting on a monthly basis the level of activities that we're dealing with, and just in the last month in May, we had almost 40 direct pieces of information that were fed to us through Cubigo. On top of that, we got 20 some odd direct presentations, either in person, phone calls, or emails. And then some of it's just quick conversations as you slide by somebody. But we don't lack for communication coming in, and we welcome it. It's good. And the one thing that we will promise that we'll continue to deliver on is we'll ensure that you will get a response. First of all, you'll get a response from our committee acknowledging that we've gotten your input. And again, we can't necessarily give you an answer, but we can assure you that we'll get it in the hands of the people who are charged with the responsibility of getting that done. And our job is pretty simple, and that's to work in the best interests of all the residents in John Knox Village. So please contact us. We would be delighted to hear from you, and we will respond. Thank you. I don't know what the sequence is, so is it Dick? It's finance. Dick Jacquin is the finance honcho.
Good afternoon. Thank you, John. As you see in the slide above me, our committee members, thank you all for working hard as you do, and our liaisons, we greatly appreciate it. We don't do finance, we monitor finance here at John Knox. We do this through reviewing with our Chief Financial Officer, Cynthia Pohl, and our Controller, Nicole Schmitter, the reports and that they submit to the federal government through the required 990 report is for a nonprofit business, our annual audit done by independent auditors, and our quarterly reports required by the state of Florida, the Office of Insurance Regulation, known as the OIR. According to statute 651.0261, which by the way makes great bedtime reading, I recommend it. Our committee reviewed the first quarter submission of our OIR report in June. The OIR report focused on three main interest areas for CCRCs. The first one's occupancy, and we reported 86% occupied. Now that's kind of a rolling average for a year. When you come to Joe's talk tomorrow, he'll give you an update on each area that'll be updated. I encourage you to do that. The second is cash on hand. We have over 825 days of cash on hand. What does that mean? Well, the minimum, first of all, in the requirement of the report is 100 days. What that means is that without any income, the organization could last for 825 days, which is nice. I think I saw somewhere the average for Florida for CCRCs, the median average is around 250, so we are well above that. The next area of reporting is debt service, which, as you know, we have none. John Knox Village retired their debt in 2009. And in fact, we are one of the only 2 CCRCs in Florida with no debt. It's a testament to the soundness of our finances, as well as knowing that Valencia Landing was a project costing some $34 million was paid out of reserves without borrowing a dime. All this to say is our finances are in good shape and growing, for which we as residents should be pleased, and thank you for the John Knox Village management. For new residents that don't know, the copies of the financial reports are available in the library. They're in a bookshelf right across from the check-in desk in binders there, and you can access them. I also wanted to mention that Cynthia Pohl is going to be doing a coffee with on June 25th at 9:30, and I'm sure she'll bring you much more detail in the health and well-being of our community. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Gary Barron, and he has not 1, but 2 reports.
Thank you. I know you've all heard me talk before, but I want you to erase the image that you see in front of you right now. This is not that old guy from the healthcare committee. Right now, think of me as a much younger, attractive blonde named Linda Kehoe. Why is that? Because Linda Kehoe is now going to be the new chair of the food committee. Unfortunately, she can't be here today, so I'm going to deliver her remarks as best I can. It starts out, and remember, I have a high-pitched voice and I'm blonde. Best wishes to Bob Bayberry and Bonnie Zakotnik for much happiness and good health in their upcoming marriage. Thank you, Bob, for chairing the 2025 Food Committee, and thank you to Bob and Bonnie for your hard work and contributions in the 2024 and 2025 Food Committee. I would also like to thank Chuck Molinda for her service as a 2025 Food Committee member. I am honored to take Bob Mayberry's place as Food Committee Chair. John Knox offers 6 dining venues, plus our popular Treetop Lounge and many special dining events. It is a lot to keep track of in terms of comment cards and resident feedback. After chatting with the committee members, we agreed that each member will focus on a specific dining venue. This will help make sure that your voices are heard. Many thanks to the residents who have volunteered to be on the food committee and focus on a particular area. Mickey Antelek is going to focus on the Bay, Sitar Seth on JJ's, Joan Cornett on Bistro, Nancy Lasagna on special events, Treetop Lounge and Scoop, Jerry Hazley on Cranes, and Karen Yaris on the Grill. Our committee looks forward to receiving your dining feedback either through the paper cards or by using the suggestion cube on Cubigo. Positive comments are always appreciated. Management shares these comments with the staff members. If your feedback concerns a specific dining venue, please record the name of the venue first, along with the date and the time. Your comments are very helpful in helping the food committee improve the dining experience. Management responds to each Cubigo comment. You will receive a notification on Cubigo when management has responded. The food committee also reviews each dining comment card. Negative items that repeat and your suggestions are discussed every month with Stan, Dem, Chef Raven at our monthly food committee meeting. We share all the common goal of improving the dining experience. In Cranes, management has installed the instant feedback iPad near the reception desk. It is an opportunity for you to give immediate feedback on your dining experience, which is extremely helpful to management, especially when there is a problem. However, this iPad does not replace the comment card feedback where details can be recorded. You may have also noticed that the grill has 2 new displays on the walls, including a much requested clock, finally. 2 of the walls are displaying beautiful photos by Bob Dunham. The far wall displays the photo contest winners and their names. These photos will be rotated as new winner contests are completed. Interestingly enough, and I find this to be an interesting statistic, we serve over 20,000 meals. 20,000 meals are served each month in our dining venues and Oakview Suites. In addition to the volume of meals, most of us eat within a common time span. We've all experienced that. 5 to 5:30, we're all rushing in. The meals are prepared and served during very busy, short periods. Management and staff work hard every day to provide a pleasant dining experience. When you are feeling good about your dining experience, please let the staff know. Now, that concludes Linda's remarks. So, erase the blonde that you see up here, and now you're going to go back to this old guy from the Healthcare Committee. And since Linda did not use up all her time, I'm going to say something that I wanted to get off my chest for a while, and hopefully I won't get in too much trouble with the president and vice president. But when you look up here, you see all the chairs of the various committees, and we all work hard on your behalf. But what you don't see is the one person up here that makes all this happen. The one person that makes sure we all do what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it. We're all where we're supposed to be at the appropriate time, and we are all present for all the many impromptu meetings that occur besides our additional scheduled meetings. Now, who is that person? That person many of you have served as, and that is the Secretary of the Residence Council. Without the Secretary of the Residence Council, I don't know what would happen to the rest of us up here, but it probably wouldn't be good. So right now we have a wonderful secretary, Patty Mitchell, and I would like you, but I'd like you to give a round of applause to all of you who have served as Secretary of the Resident Council in the past. I know I wouldn't want that job. Okay, so now we're going to go back to that old gray-haired guy from the Healthcare Committee. And we're a pretty busy committee, so I'm going to dispense with the pleasantries because we have a lot going on. And the first thing I want to do is start by addressing the so-called elephant in the room, and you all know what the elephant is. It's the issue of the AEDs. At the last chat with Joe, the administration made their position very clear and their thought processes underlying that position. Until all the CCRCs in the state of Florida are required to have an AED, we will not have one here other than at the assisted living facility, Oakview Suites, where they are required. Believe it or not, MO is not required to have an AED. I truly find that incredulous. Your healthcare committee is very sorry that we were unsuccessful in this endeavor. However, I personally feel very sorry that I failed you because I was somewhat optimistic that the overwhelming medical evidence would prevail, but obviously it didn't. But there's a silver lining. We now have permission to arrange for a basic CPR course, which will be taught here at Barker on a voluntary basis for any residents and staff who want to attend. Now, why is this important? Well, even if we miraculously was able to get an AED, protocol says the first thing you do is basic CPR. You do your basic CPR, your basic chest compressions, while you're waiting for the emergency medical services to arrive. And remember, for some causes of cardiac arrest, basic CPR is all you need, because an AED, as wonderful as it is, does not cure or help take care of all the causes of cardiac arrest. This is the end of my soapbox on AEDs. I won't say anything now about it until we get to the basic CPR course, which will be taught here, and I hope all of you attend. This year, we also received many questions about the costs associated with assisted living at Oakview Suites and also at MO. Mike Buxton gave a very informative speech on this topic at Barker Center. We learned a lot about the various expenses involved, and I hope many of you attended. It was very, very interesting. It was also very depressing. Why? Because there are a lot of expenses involved. And one of the questions the Healthcare Committee gets is, well, how am I going to know? How I'm going to plan? What's going to be my future expenses that I have to budget for? Well, there is no one-size-fits-all answer, unfortunately, because we have different medical insurance policies, different medical requirements. So if you really want to know what your future costs are going to be, what we have to do is, I've spoken with Nicole Vega and Amanda Logan, and they will be happy to talk with each one of us on an individual basis about our particular issues and situations. Things change, and we just have to go make the time and effort to talk to them if we want to plan a different budget. But the good news is John Knox Village now has its own health service, which is available 24/7, and they have various combinations of services, so you don't necessarily have to get 24/7 care. You can get whatever is good for you and or your partner. The issue of John Knox Village purchasing a commercial blood pressure machine was also raised by a resident. However, again, for liability reasons, the good old attorneys, this was not felt to be a prudent investment. The resident nurse or clinic are available to help with blood pressure measurements if you need help. The Village Weekly has published several articles on fall prevention, courtesy of our fall subcommittee. We have a wonderful, wonderful fall subcommittee, but I don't have enough time to go through everybody's names. We urge you to read these articles and utilize their information. Also, please consider the program on balance and fall prevention that is suggested by the NIH. This class is held twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 o'clock in the gym at the new clubhouse under the direction of Sally and Miles Hardy, where they teach a form of Tai Chi specifically designed to prevent falls and improve balance. I take it, and it's definitely helped my balance. Your healthcare committee is also planning 2 different programs on fall prevention this summer. Both will be here at the Barker Center, and I hope everyone can attend. Amanda Logan, who is also on the healthcare committee, recently organized a discussion on stroke prevention. We're all worried about a stroke and the causes, and this was held under the auspices of Advent Health here at the Barker Center. And they gave us a mnemonic called Be Fast, B-E-F-A-S-T. This is very important for us to know about this, and you can call Amanda Logan, and she will give you a refrigerator magnet with a card, and that will explain the mnemonic Be Fast. I'm going to go through it very quickly because of time, but the B, B-E, is balance. If you suddenly feel off balance or you're uncoordinated. E is for your eyes. If you suddenly have double vision or blurry vision. F is for face, if your face suddenly starts to droop on one side. A is for arms. If you can't hold your arms up for a long time, it suddenly goes down. S is for speech, if it's blurred or garbled. And T is for time. That is the Be Fast. And the time is very important because our brain cells start to die pretty quickly if they don't get the appropriate amount of oxygen. So if you think you may be having a stroke, don't go to the nearest walk-in clinic. go to the nearest emergency room. An emergency room is equipped to take care of you. If you waste time going to a walk-in clinic, all they're going to do is ship you over to the emergency room. So go to the emergency room. And men, if you're like most of us, if you have some sort of problem and it passes in 30 to 45 seconds away, and you're going to say to your honey, oh, I felt funny, but now, gee, I feel much better, everything is okay. Don't. If you think you may be having a stroke, go to the emergency room. It is extremely, extremely important. Now, new subject, your healthcare committee has received several comments concerning grief support at John Knox Village. Part of the mission of the healthcare committee is to keep all residents healthy, both physically and mentally. We are all going to deal with this because we and our partners and our wives, we all don't die at the same time. So we need grief support. And I've just been told that I'm running out of time. So if any of you have any comments on how we can improve grief support, please email Susie Rudolph. She is in charge of all our comments on the health committee. Her contact information is on Cubigo, and she will get back to us. The last thing, two last things actually, which I will quickly summarize. This week we celebrate CNA Week. It's a National Certified Nurses Assistance Week. 15% of our workforce here at John Knox Village is by these nursing assistants. So when you see them, when you go to MO, please thank them for all they do. They do all the really tough stuff with the patients, and I won't go into gory details. I'm sure you can all figure it out, but they really are the ones that make us comfortable. Finally, Amanda Logan arranged for a program here recently on men's health. It was very good. The key takeaway is what they told us applies to women also, and that is make sure you get annual or semi-annual checkups. There are many horrible diseases, and many of them can be taken care of early. If you don't go to the doctor, and I know most of us don't like to go to the doctor, and there are many reasons why, but we need to, so we don't suddenly end up going when it's too late and nothing can be done. Now I'd like to introduce Larry George, who's head of the Nominations Committee.
Thank you. I have one task, to get done fast. The 2026 Residents' Council candidates are Deborah Sheffield, Pat Elam, Joe Elam, Linda Keogh, and Gary Boyers. Joe is here with us. Joe, would you stand up for a second? And Deborah Sheffield is here. And Linda Keogh is in Norway. She decided she couldn't make it for our afternoon. But we're happy to have those candidates, and we're looking forward to the council members being for next year. Thank you.
This is the slate of candidates to be voted on in our September quarterly report. I will now open the floor for nominations of anyone else who is willing and able to run for the 2026 council. Bill, you have a nomination? Bill, you can't nominate yourself. You have to have another person nominate you. The rules for those are, and we're talking about committee chairs, not council members. Bill, you just spoke with John Bonder, who, right. Well, he has a doctor's appointment, and that's why he left. Are there any other nominations? Okay, the nominations are closed. Biographies of each candidate will be available in the library. Thank you for coming. The Board of Directors' quarterly report will follow in a few minutes.